Are you live on there? All right. Well, happy Friday, everybody. Excited to be here today. It's not every day we get a best-selling author on the show, but if you're just tuning in, this is This Pink Cloud, Season 2, Episode 35. It seems like only last week it was Episode 34.
Just last week.
just last week, right? I got a lot of good feedback, actually, on that show with Gail and bipolar and manic episodes. And, if you didn't have a chance to check that out, go check that out. It's on our YouTube channel, which is thispinkcloud.com. And just go to that URL and,
Yeah. She was fantastic.
Yeah. She was, right?
Bringing awareness to bipolar disorder, which so many people are experiencing, I think was huge.
Right. Hey, so speaking of fantastic, I'm DJ Kelly Reverb. No, I'm just kidding. And the lovely, talented, bearded wonder, Dusty Burrows from Sobar Basics. Also, LPC, LCDC. Got to get those
thank you.
letters in there. And then with him is the Brian Cuban.
How you doing, guys? I want to say you'd be amazed how long a week can last.
Absolutely.
Or a day.
Yeah, but before we get into talking about him being a best-selling author and international speaker, lawyer, and recovering addict, I want to hit our sponsors. That's how I do it real quick.
Right.
www.summersky.us. That is 888-857-8857. Summersky.us. It's a great facility out in lovely Stephenville, Texas. I went there. I got 14 months. There you go, dude. It can work.
Congrats.
And then also, if you're looking for that long-term care in the DFW area, we have Cardinal House Sober Living, and that is cardinalhouserecovery.com, and that is 918-998-4223. Once again, that is 918-998-4223, and I love it. That's old Josh and Ricky out there. They run a tight ship, and if you're looking for that accountability, you can't navigate it on your own. Get with the guys at Cardinal House. They're
I
good
just
dudes.
saw Ricky yesterday. Thanks for the chocolates, Ricky. And I'll be spending some quality time with Josh this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, like you really need an introduction, I think pretty much everybody might know you actually from this book, which is The Addicted Lawyer, which is completely autobiographical.
Oh, so you're the one who bought that.
I did, and I bought
You're
it.
the guy. You're my one sale.
It was a half price book, so
That's where I did my book signing.
Hey, nice. Well, there you go. Funny, but so you are a best-selling author. Like I said, international speaker, lawyer, still practicing.
Is Canada
correct?
international? I've spoken in Canada.
Hey,
There you go.
I consider myself an international DJ because I DJ'd in Canada. That is not the U.S. I mean, it's North America. But
I consider myself an international alcoholic because I drank in Mexico.
Well, there you go.
I did too. I did blow in Mexico as well. Have you ever known you go to Cancun in Mexico and they have on the bathroom stalls it says you will be arrested if you do cocaine.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, right. You'll lose a kidney and
But they did. They had the
away.
signs on the stalls saying don't do cocaine.
That's funny.
You'll see it, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, so this book is actually a bestseller. And
It was a bestseller, yes, when it was
right.
released. It $129 on Amazon.
What does it like for the novice? What does that take to actually become a bestseller?
Well, a lot of sales. It hit.
Sure.
It hit number 129 of all books on Amazon when it was released.
Right.
I don't know what it's at now. So it became an Amazon bestseller in the legal profession field.
Right.
There are different. There's mystery, this
Right.
and that, and this was legal profession.
Well, just to bring it to myself, there's like house music, there's like breakbeat, there's techno, there's rap.
Was it No, it wasn't a New York Times bestseller. It was an
Right.
Amazon bestseller.
I got you. Well, hey, bestseller nonetheless.
Get that little orange sticker.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's a big deal. So, and then also you have, a new release coming out, which I don't know if you can pull up real quick. just the JPEG of the book, but it's called The Ambulance Chaser. And
No, there you go. That is not me on the cover.
Right, exactly. But this is actually a fictional work.
It is my first novel.
Right. So I mean that's kind of cool. So you went from autobiography to your first novel, and obviously what we're doing is cheerleading for this book because the pre-orders are going well on Amazon, but we want to get that bestseller status.
I want to get bestseller, and I am also very close. Barnes & Noble has taken a huge interest in the number of pre-orders so far, and
right.
My goal is for them to give me national distribution instead of just my local Barnes & Noble, right?
Right.
And
sure.
And so I'm very close to that.
Well, let's go. I guess we'll play the trailer for the book because I love the fact that you actually have a trailer for the book.
Yes.
It's like I want to see the movie now.
It's a great movie.
But let's just in case they don't know any, let's touch on a little bit about your life story.
Sure.
And I mean, because this is a show about recovery. And hey, guess what? You're in recovery.
And so is and the protagonist Jason in The Ambulance Chaser is in and out of recovery.
Right.
I'm in long-term recovery. I'll have 14 and a half years in October.
All right.
Abstinence, that's my path.
Okay.
But there are many others from cocaine, alcohol, and bulimia.
Yeah.
And purging.
That's another issue or not issue, but I guess disorder. Is that the?
It's an
correct?
eating disorder.
Yeah. So
it is a DSM-5 diagnosis.
Body dysmorphia.
Yeah, the
right?
body dysmorphic disorder was the underlying disorder. That is also a DSM-5 diagnosis. And what body dysmorphic disorder is, guys, since your listeners probably don't know.
Sure.
It's when people take even a non-existent or small defect in your body and you exaggerate it in your perceived reflection. It's not a delusion, it's a perceived reflection.
Right.
To the point where it affects your ability to function, quote unquote, normally in life.
Right. Like it would be like if somebody, I mean, I know this is a very light example, but if you get a zit, then you're like, everybody's looking at it kind of thing. Yeah.
But that is, we can say that jokingly, but that is somebody has a very small defect and they might have imagined that defect, that small zit covers their entire face.
Right.
And they don't leave the house, or it has a very high correlation to substance use and suicide.
Sure.
So it has body dysmorphia disorder. Has very serious ramifications.
In your case, what was body dysmorphia? Like, what did you feel?
It was my stomach. I was severely bullied as a child. I was even physically assaulted, and there's a story around that, over my weight.
Sure.
And these traumatic incidents kind of came together, so every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw was this huge stomach. And every time someone looked at me, I imagined all they saw was that. And that first led to my eating disorder as a freshman at Penn State, which transitioned into alcohol use disorder, alcoholic at Penn State. I drank very heavily at Penn State.
Sure.
I continued as an alcoholic through Pitt Law. And then I added cocaine to my resume the summer of 1987 in Dallas.
Right.
Good
year.
My first of 2 trips to a psychiatric hospital after a near-suicide attempt in 2005. 3 failed marriages in between. One more, I get a free set of steak knives. And then my final trip to Green Oaks in 2007, and that's when I started to turn it around.
And it's crazy that you have just like these problems because everybody thinks, oh well, Brian Cuban is blah blah blah, his brother, he's got nothing to worry about, but it's not true.
The saying addiction doesn't discriminate, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of don't like the saying because in a sense it really does by privilege, by underserved demographics, by skin color. So it impacts different demographics differently.
Absolutely.
So
the laws as well.
Yeah. So, but it can hit anyone. It can hit anyone, and having privilege doesn't mean you can't suffer from it.
It doesn't mean it's going to skip over you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I wanted to get on that, but then also you have a illustrious career of use. I mean, if you want to tell us a little story for the people.
Sure. I mean, I was blowing and going in Dallas. I was one of the biggest douchebags on the cocaine circuit there was back in those days. In 2007, it's kind of when the Mavs were going to the NBA championship for the first time.
Sure.
As you might imagine, I was going to get some good seats, right? My brother owns a team.
Right.
And I also had the opportunity to get a couple tickets for friends. I called up Mark and he said, sure, Bri, come on over. I got the 2 tickets. Do you think I gave them to my friends? Nope. You're probably thinking I sold them on eBay for some astronomical amount, thinking like a lawyer, right? Scalp them. Didn't do that either, because that would have been disrespectful to Mark, to the team.
Of course. Yeah.
I took those 2 tickets and I traded them with my cocaine dealer for $1,000 in cocaine. Selling them on eBay was disrespectful. Trading my cocaine dealer was perfectly acceptable. Go figure.
Of course.
My dealer shows up at my house. I was high class. He delivered. I give him the 2 tickets. He hands me this giant Ziploc plastic baggie of cocaine. I go running up to my home office. I dump it out on the desk, looking at it like I'm Scarface. I wanted to go put my nose in it.
All right.
And I line it out, roll up the dollar bill. Aren't cocaine users a funny bunch? We're kind of an ironic bunch. In pandemic times, you put on the hand sanitizer, you wash up, but we'll stick a dollar bill up our nose.
Oh, yeah.
That's been used by God knows who, and God knows where, who knows what's on it.
Right.
And inhale.
Yeah.
Go figure again.
Sure.
On the back toilet of a strip club.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a nasty white top. But the reality is that by that point, I was really heading towards the downside, and cocaine had long stopped giving me the feeling of self-love and self-acceptance that I achieved when I did it for the first time in a bathroom in the Crescent Hotel in Dallas, Texas in 1987. And instantly looked in that mirror and said, yeah, that guy.
That guy rules.
That guy, yes.
That guy.
And it was
That
just
guy's
really
going
chasing the
places.
high, but there was
Right.
also a lot of paranoia that came along with it because I've been using for so long.
Yeah.
I thought I heard the cops out or saw flashing lights. So I go peeking out my window and there's no one out there. But now I'm all paranoid. I gather up the cocaine, put it back in the Ziploc baggie. I drive up the tollway to it was a Home Depot or what's the other one?
Lowe's.
Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I buy electrical faceplate outlets, a drill, and a saw. I go back to my house. I go upstairs to the drywall in the different closets with the drill and the saw, bzz, 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 and I cut these fake electrical outlets in the closets, put the cocaine in smaller baggies, and hide it and seal it up behind all these fake electrical outlets, bzz, bzz, thinking I'm the smartest lawyer ever.
That's actually pretty smart.
Well,
though.
like the
That's
DEA, the
pretty
cops,
good.
and the drug dogs have never thought of that before.
Right, yeah, and they're not going to spell
And you
it.
know how I got that idea? It was in a remember Sky Mall?
Yeah,
I was traveling and it was in the back of a Sky Mall magazine to store your valuables.
I
And I'm thinking-
remember that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
And so I line out some more and I do it. And again, it was just this bad high after bad high after bad high. The good highs came just so infrequently at that point. But it was never an epiphany that I might have a problem. It was maybe I need to change dealers, or maybe I need to change out the Grey Goose for the Jack Daniels, right? Because we try to find that, right?
I always say you try to get that just there, dude, in
Yeah.
that pocket. Yeah.
So I do some more, and again, the same. I get all paranoid again. I go back to the electrical outlets, bzz, bzz, unscrew everything, take
Right.
it all back out, and go to the bathroom in my bedroom and flush it down the toilet. Now it's about $900 of cocaine. The next morning comes. I wake up. Where's my cocaine? Did I flush it down the toilet? What idiot does that? There's another game tonight. I call Mark. I get 2 more tickets. I call my drug dealer. He shows up at my house. He says, dude, you did all that last night? I don't want to tell him I flushed down the toilet like a moron. I said, yes, give it to me. Give it to me. I'm an anteater of cocaine. Okay, dude, here you go. Back up to my home office. Rinse, wash, repeat. Dump it out on the desk. One more time. Once again, put it behind the fake electrical outlets. Once again, like an hour later, take it back out. Once again, go to that bathroom and drop to my knees, like I'd done so many times before, my eating disorder, or just praying or hoping or wanting someone or something to just make it all stop.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have those moments.
We've all done the
Yeah.
old foxhole prayers, what I like to call
And
it.
flushed it down the toilet again for the
Yeah.
second night in a row. They say when Dallas flushes, it runs downhill to Houston. So I think some people in Houston had a little hop in their step. Those times. But the kind of quote-unquote insanity of addiction, right? Doing the same thing the same way over and over and expecting a different result. But we know it's not insanity. It's a process,
Sure.
right, that has so many different biological, genetic, environmental factors that come together.
Right. Now, I have a question. Was Mark on point enough to notice, like, the seats that he gave you, and he knew who your supplier
No,
was?
no. Those were. I mean, I sat at that point. I was sitting in the
box.
In the box.
Yeah.
But that's another story. When the Mavs were playing at Reunion, I was sitting next to Mark.
Right.
And I was showing up every game, just slobbering on blow and drunk and spilling drinks against these rich people, you know.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And I think Mark finally just got sick and said, "Sit up in a box, dude. Just sit upstairs."
He put you in timeout.
And people are thinking, well, that's nice too. You're right.
Right.
Privilege, right? I would
Sure.
be disingenuous not to acknowledge that.
Right.
That I've gone through addiction and recovery with a lot of privilege that people don't have. Skin color, financial, on so many different levels, and I do acknowledge that.
Right.
I think that's refreshing that when people do acknowledge that, because I experienced the same thing in a sense, because I had things very easy when recovery started coming my way, and I was willing to accept it, being able to go to a nice rehab, being able to do those kinds of things.
Yeah, and people don't have those options. The vast majority of people don't have those options. There's no insurance. I mean, even if there is insurance, it may not cover what you want it to, what you need, and even there. It is just such a broken system.
Yeah, there's a staggering statistic. 1 in 10 people who seek treatment, that seek it out themselves, actually are able to get treatment. So when I would share that with clients in treatment, I'm like, you're actually very lucky, because only 1 out of 10. You know, so 10 of you, 10 out of 100.
Right. No, it's crazy. And I always like to point out the free opportunities out there, which is like Homeward Bound, Maggie's House, if you're
Nexus,
a young lady, and but Nexus. Yeah,
it's still tough because there are waiting lists, right? It's tough to get in.
Yeah,
and
it's a triage unit, basically.
It really is, and we can cut out the part where even when you're in, there are problems, right? Because we want to talk about evidence-based treatment, but it's a privilege just to be in.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I agree. So basically, you know, what I wanted to get to and how I was going to tie this into recovery is doing something positive, like doing your passion in recovery and how important that is. And obviously, you know, your passion, you found it, was writing, correct?
Well, my passion, I love to write and I love to share. My passion is sharing my story.
Sure.
My passion is sharing my story publicly. Every time I share, if 9 people say you suck, go pound salt, and one person says thank you, and now I see a path at least, right? Then I've done then what else could I want?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
There's a saying. I'm Jewish, and there's a saying. It's kind of a Kabbalistic saying in the Jewish religion. It's called Tikkun Olam, change the world with acts of kindness.
I like
and that's
that.
what I try to do. Just my little corner, right? By sharing my story.
Right.
And I love to write too, and I share my story by writing as well.
Yeah, no, I love that. And Dusty, I think that might be your new tattoo right there.
I like that. Yeah.
I was like, what was the saying again?
Tikkun Olam.
Okay.
Sharing the world with acts, changing the world with acts of kindness.
I think that's definitely paramount. But as I was saying, like, as far as, you know, doing something positive in recovery, so you discovered this, and then, like, was this your first book that you did?
No.
Was this your freshman effort, or did you have before?
My freshman effort, and that really was Shattered Image.
Okay.
My Triumph Over Body Dysmorphic Disorder was my first book, and that was self-published. The Addicted Lawyer was not. And that was really a cathartic journey of healing. It was written for me, as many memoirs start out, right? Because it was my first time just laying it all out there. And many of the things in that book were news to my family and many of the people around me.
Yeah, that's got to be crazy, because it's like, oh, all of a sudden, surprise, this is what's going on in here.
Yeah, well, eating disorders are so shameful to guys, so shameful. About 30 to 35% of all those who struggle with an eating disorder are male, but only 1 in 10 will seek treatment. So it's a very shameful thing. And Shattered Image was more about my struggle with body image and body dysmorphic disorder. The Addicted Lawyer was more
the best-selling.
Yes.
The Addicted Lawyer.
The Addicted Lawyer was more about my struggle with addiction and how it impacted my career as a lawyer and how I lost my career as a lawyer as a result of addiction. So that is The Addicted Lawyer is a much more measured book.
Right. Sure. And then, of course, there's the first, and I'm excited for you, man. I mean, this is a foray into something that's not autobiographical, that's actually a work of fiction.
Yes, The Ambulance Chaser is my my debut work of fiction novel.
Right.
And it is a legal, quote-unquote, legal thriller. It is about a personal injury lawyer who finds himself accused of the murder of a high school classmate 30 years prior after her remains are discovered.
Right.
He is arrested and he flees and he becomes a fugitive from justice to find the one person who can both prove his innocence and save the life of his abducted son.
Right. And now I notice there is just a few autobiographical elements in there.
Sure. The protagonist, Jason, is struggles with cocaine addiction and alcoholism.
Right.
He's in and out of 12-step. He struggles with his Jewish faith, like I have in my life. And so, sure, they're autobiographical. I've never been accused of murder.
Right.
Not yet.
Not yet. Right.
But and you know what's interesting? The Ambulance Chaser all started with a dream about 4 years ago. I'm a very vivid dreamer. I remember them. I remember all my dreams. And I had this reoccurring dream about being back in my hometown of Pittsburgh with a high school classmate and throwing bodies into a bonfire.
Oh, wow.
And watching these bodies burn. And then all of a sudden in the dream, I'm an adult and I'm worried if all of these bodies are going to be discovered.
Right.
And that was the genesis of the Ambulance Chaser.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, I guess let's, Brett, if you could pull that up, let's throw to the trailer because I love this. You actually have a trailer for a book, which I've never really actually seen before. I'm sure it's been done because everything.
It has been done.
Right?
It has been done.
But I love this trailer, and we'll be quiet and tune in here. Boom.
That was awesome.
Yeah. No, but now all you need, the suggestion I have is get Morgan Freeman to read over it, to narrate over the top of it. And then I'm like, oh my God.
If I ever do a credit card commercial, Morgan's my guy.
Oh,
yeah.
But and everything in that trailer represents a part of the book.
Right, and I saw the trolley that is
Pittsburgh?
famous in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
Super cool.
For sure. Well, so what would you give, for somebody out there that's, an aspiring writer? Because there are a lot of them out there. What advice would you give?
Start writing.
Right?
Start writing. Don't worry about how, where, when. Just start writing. Now, if for people who do memoirs, I get a lot of questions. If you want to write your memoir, whether it's a recovery memoir, and you're just not sure how to start, here's what I tell you. This is advice I give.
Okay.
Go through your snapshots back to the day. Every snapshot you can find, going back to the day you were born, whatever you have, whether it's digital. Mine, I'm a boomer. I have these Polaroids, right?
Right, yeah.
But back to the day you were born and pick out ones to represent different times of your life. Write a story around each photo.
Right.
And pick out 10 or 15. What are you feeling? What was going on? What were the people in there feeling? What everything happening in your life, including how you felt. String them together. You have just started your book.
I love that.
You have just started your book.
That's cool advice.
I've seen you over the years at different things and different events, and you always have your laptop and you're always writing. I noticed that, and I always assumed you were always working on your book.
No, I'm a blogger. I mean, I also blog. I have a column on Above the Law. Primarily, I blog about legal mental health issues. During the pandemic, I've switched more to video, but you can see those videos on my blog. But yeah, I like to write. Writing is my release. And I'm a public speaker, but
Sure.
during the pandemic,
Right.
Obviously the speaking industry just crashed.
Have you seen it start an uptick starting?
It's funny. Funny story. I had my first in-person event. The Mississippi Bar annual bar conference invited me to speak in Destin.
Okay.
Their first morning keynote ever. So I was very honored.
Right.
And so it was right at the beginning of Delta, the Delta variant, where it was maybe 10%, right? So everyone's thinking it's okay. We're getting out of this. I brought my mask, and the evening before there was a reception, and because it was in Destin, everyone brought their kids. I walk into the reception as you could not move, and I'm like, oh man, okay. So I didn't want to. I felt kind of. I can't mask because if I mask, no one here is masked. I mean, these are Mississippi people.
Sure.
We're in Florida.
Right.
No one in this room is masked. So I kind of edged to the door, and I felt if I masked, that's all they would think about when I spoke the next morning. And I thought I was texting my wife, and I said, I'm going to be paranoid for 10 days. And I was texting my sponsor. And they had a good sense of humor about it.
That's funny.
But and then Delta obviously went wild, and so
Sure.
I haven't had an event since. But I think 22 will be fine. I think 22 will be fine.
Yeah, I think it's coming around. I mean, I think, a lot of people are getting vaxxed out there. So, I think that's personally a good thing, and just do my part to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm vaxxed.
Right.
And, I do a lot of law firms, and now I did a bunch of virtual law firms during the pandemic.
Sure.
But hopefully we'll get back in person. But it is what it is, right? I feel in a very privileged position, and I don't want to. People are going through some very difficult times, employment times, and many different things with COVID and things like that. So
For sure.
and my thought goes out to all of them.
Right.
Thoughts go out to all of them.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I wanted to touch. I had the opportunity to meet you because of your public speaking when I was just a wee student at UNT.
Yes, UNT. That was one of my first conferences.
Yeah, and I'd see him out. He'd always have the Collegiate Recovery Program
Still have that
shirt
T-shirt.
on. Yeah, and so that was really cool. And what was inspiring for me is when I kind of caught the multiple pathways bug, I was and still am and will continue to be very passionate in promoting that in recovery communities. And you were the guy that was kind of like a backup for me and kind of a forerunner promoting this idea of multiple pathways. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of inspired you and what resonates with you about that?
I've always been, my pathway's 12-step, right?
Sure.
My pathway's I was only offered 12-step in treatment when there's a funny story behind that, but I chose 12-step.
Well, we got time.
So, okay, well, after my second trip to the psychiatric hospital, I walked into my psychiatrist the next day. This was Easter, April 8th.
Right.
And who I'd been lying to. And why would you lie to your psychiatrist? Well, shame knows no
Right.
hourly rate. I was ashamed.
Sure.
Right? So I finally started getting honest with him about a lot of stuff, and he said, well, would you consider going to residential treatment? I'm not going to residential treatment. There are no lawyers in residential treatment. I'm much too important. I have no cases left. My law career is gone, but there was an auto accident just outside, and I'm going to give that guy my card, and I'll have a case, right? The ambulance chaser. And he said, would you go to 12-step? I said, I'm not going to 12-step. There are no lawyers in 12-step. I walked in there, and half of them were lawyers I knew.
Right.
But I can't go. Doctor, they smoke out there. I see them smoking. Secondhand smoke will kill you.
Right.
Always a reason not to recover. But I did choose 12-step, and we talking about this before. A lot of 12-step did not resonate with me. A lot of it did, and I like going to meetings. I like the mutual aid is very important in connections.
Yeah,
I
the
think are
community
very important
aspect
in
of it.
community.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the other stuff didn't resonate, and I took what I wanted and left the rest. And But I lost my train of thought.
Oh, no. You took, but I mean, you were talking about your recovery and then the question.
The inspiration
Oh
for
yeah,
multiple pathways.
I've always been, I've always been, stand on your head.
Right.
If standing on your head keeps you happy and, however you define sober, right? However you define recovery. Remember, sober is a social construct.
Right.
It is,
and this show, and that's a lot of what I want to show out there is that, or present is that, we're multiple pathways here. So if 12-step is your thing, by all means, if it's working for you, do
absolutely.
it. If recovery Dharma is your thing, do that.
If you're on Suboxone, if you're on methadone, I don't care. If you ask me, all I want to know is, if you ask my opinion, which I don't give unless I'm asked, right?
Right.
Stay on our side of the street. How's your family? How's your wife? How's your kids? Are you happy? How are your relationships? What do you think that means?
I think that's a huge part. He just said, "Are you happy?"
Yeah,
because,
are you happy?
you don't want to be that miserable, dry drunk, so to speak, in recovery.
Absolutely. When you say recovery in sobriety, I like Samson's guiding principles of recovery.
Absolutely.
Right, and nowhere does it mention abstinence.
No.
Now, I'm a huge advocate for abstinence, obviously, but not everybody's ready to do that yet.
Yeah, and I get it. I passed my recovery coach certification. I took it with. Do you know Brian Lane?
Yes.
Yeah, Brian. He was the teacher.
Okay.
I took my recovery coach. I was in the middle of getting my what's called your. You have to get your live hours.
Oh yeah.
At Homeward Bound when the pandemic hit.
Oh,
Kelly just got his too.
Yeah, so I have to go back and finish up.
I am officially an RSPS, and that man right there sponsored my hours when I was working at Sober Living Facility.
Congratulations. So I haven't.
Now I have letters behind my name.
But I remember, and this is I remember Brian gave an example of harm reduction, and I saw some of the hardcore 12-steppers cringe in the class, right? He said, "This is harm reduction. If you come to me and tell me that you're doing an 8-ball, 3.5 grams of blow a week, and if you think if you could get down to a gram, your life will be better." And I say, if you're a recovery coach, right, and you meet people where they are, you don't say, "No, you have to be abstinent." You say, "What's your plan? What's your plan to do that? And let's set goals, and we'll see if that's working for you." You don't try to bully them into your way of thinking.
Absolutely.
Right. That's meeting people where they are, and people go, "Oh."
Yeah. I gave an example when we were talking before the show. I have a really close friend, and he was addicted to methamphetamines, right? And he does not do that anymore, but he still has the occasional drink, and he uses pot as a harm reduction method. He has a fantastic life now. And if I were to judge him or tell him, "Hey, man, I can't be friends with you because you're not 100% abstinence," how is that being supportive?
Sure.
Needle exchange is another one.
Well, speaking of that, we actually next week we have coming up on the show is Richard Bradshaw, and he is going to be showing us Narcan. He has a nonprofit, and he's going to be showing us Narcan and talk about his needle exchange.
Carry it with me everywhere I go, Narcan.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a fantastic.
That's a good thing to do.
I'll give a quick example. If somebody's coming in to get Narcan because they're a heroin user, or they're coming in to exchange needles, while they're in, I can get them HIV testing. I can give them resources.
Absolutely.
I can help them get somewhere where they can get cleaned up. And then I build a relationship with them, a rapport. So if ever that window of opportunity comes where they'll accept treatment or consider abstinence, where are they going to come? They're going to come where they have a relationship.
Absolutely. And safe supply. We don't have. There are different levels of safe supply, right? How about just test strips for everyone? What's the first rule of recovery? Be alive. Just be alive. And test strips can keep you alive, because how are people dying? They're contaminated opiates, right?
Yeah.
The majority of the how many fatal overdoses were there last year? 93,000.
Yeah.
The majority of those were from fentanyl-contaminated opiates. So
exactly. That's
I'm involved in a contract.
Go ahead.
I'm involved in a contract right now where we have funds for fentanyl strips to test drugs, but the fentanyl strips are illegal in Texas.
And they're illegal in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. They keep you alive. Are they? They just enable drug use. No, they don't. There's a addiction. What's the definition of addiction? Obsessive compulsive drug-seeking behavior in the face of known consequences.
Absolutely.
People will seek out their substance regardless, right? And if a fentanyl test strip keeps you alive to figure out where your path is, well, how is that a bad thing?
Yeah, there's still people out there that just kind of have that attitude. Well, just let them all die off. That's the solution.
Yeah, right.
And when we get back,
or lock them all up.
I think people are often surprised because I'm a boomer, and I'm a boomer who believes in all of these.
Well, you have an open mind, and you're not. It's a progressive way of thinking, and I think it's beneficial to society,
the community.
Yeah, for sure.
People are very against it till all of a sudden they lose a child or they lose a nephew or they lose a husband or a wife.
And this can happen.
Maybe I should have considered that.
This can happen to anybody, and I mean it's like really scary now because it's just like one time and you can OD. Just you don't know what you're getting at all.
And
it's
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. I mean, 93,000. And someone can correct me if my number's off, but I don't think I'm far off.
Right.
Fatal overdoses, the vast majority were related to fentanyl. Vast majority.
I heard a story, 2 healthcare workers down in Austin took some ecstasy and died. In good shape, high-functioning human beings, good people, and just out having a good time. And if they would have had those test strips, maybe they'd be alive today.
And you don't, and we have to battle these myths too, right? No, people don't lace marijuana with fentanyl.
Right. Well, no, hold on. There is K2 in spice, which is a research chemical on plant matter. So just so you know, don't do that either, kids.
Yeah. So you hear these, the war on drugs, the cops put out these stories, but you can never find where they originate. Nothing's ever been tested, right?
Yeah, I remember you wrote something about that.
That was
because there are a lot of myths and fears out there that are unsubstantiated. Not to say that fentanyl won't just kill your ass really quick, but there's a lot of myths out there.
Well, you have to ingest it though. Fentanyl, you have to ingest it either nose, right? Injection, mouth, but no, it's not going to kill you if it gets on your skin. And people just cringe when I say that. But I'm talking science. Am I a scientist? No, but I listen to them. I listen to toxicologists. You can't just get in the vicinity of fentanyl and drop dead. Yeah. Well, there are all these stories, police officers. Well, these are how myths get started and wives' tales, right? These are war on drug myths designed to, they get police bigger budgets for their gear and everything. They go dressed like they're on Mars. Is fentanyl dangerous? Absolutely. Can you die from fentanyl? Well, the numbers say, look at the numbers, 93,000. But people are ingesting it. It is not just trickling on their skin. It's not from being in the vicinity.
Yeah, it would be nice if the education spread as quick as the
lies and the myths. Yeah, it is what it is, and there are people listening to say Brian's wrong.
Well, who can what we write our congressman as far as regarding the fentanyl strips being legal in Texas?
Yeah, you could write your legislatures.
Yeah.
But, and I know there are people cringing at this right now.
Right.
But all I encourage you to do is go Google fentanyl myths. Right, and just read, and maybe you'll say, no, that's not true because this cop said this, there was this story, so I believe it. But just at least read it.
Right. Well, we're on the internet, so we're right.
And I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
There you go.
But you'd just be shocked how many people just lose their minds when I talk about that.
Right.
I'm not a toxicologist. Don't believe me. Google it. Look at what the toxicologists are saying.
Yeah, look at the evidence.
I'm only an expert in my story. I don't claim to be an expert in anything else.
Like that.
But I do consider myself informed and try to be more informed every chance I get.
Right. Well, we do have that video question of the week. It's a new feature we're doing here where I have people actually send me questions in. This week, it's from
Knucklehead Recovery.
Yeah.
My favorite word. That is my favorite knucklehead. My dad
Isn't
uses
that
that
great?
all the time.
Yeah, that's Dan's brainchild. 2 of my favorite people in the world,
that is
Dan and Val.
Our friend Dirty Dan with Knucklehead Recovery, and he submitted this question. So let's hear what they have to say.
Dirty Dan, Stewart's Creek Elementary School.
Babe.
What? This hitting from Monday Night Football?
No, sir.
My bad. Dirty Dan and my beautiful wife Val and Bella from Knucklehead Recovery. And our question for you is...
How have you had to remodel your recovery since 2020, and how do you maintain the fellowship in times of social distancing? Boom.
Knucklehead's my favorite. I use knucklehead instead of swearing on social media. You're a knucklehead.
That's a good one.
Well, they actually have a group on Facebook and obviously TikTok. I don't know if he's on TikTok, but I know he's on Facebook, and he has a Facebook group, Knucklehead Recovery, on there. And
I have to join it just because knucklehead.
There you go. Well, yeah, I'll send you an invite.
Please
I'll
do.
send you an invite.
It's
for
kind
sure.
of a no holds barred kind of recovery group.
Right.
It's a great question.
Yeah, because we were touching on it earlier.
It's a great question.
Nice.
I've done a bunch of, as far as the fellowship, I've done a bunch of online meetings. I do speaker meetings when I get asked. So that's how I've stayed because I've been very skittish about walking back into the rooms. But hopefully that will change as we go into 22. I'll be comfortable. But I do online meetings.
Right.
So that's that. And I tend to be kind of isolationist in nature as it is. But I've tried to maintain my mental health routine, which is mindfulness. I take a lot, with apologies to water conservationists, I take these long showers where I kind of just clear the mechanism.
Right.
And try to just wash out and clear my mind of all of my angst.
I'm all about a long shower, a little crying game
all
shower.
All of my negative thoughts, all of my thoughts that are not based in fact, because over half the thoughts we have every day are not based in any kind of fact. So I do that.
It's your meditation.
I create more
right?
unhealthy narratives in the shower every day that I have to get out and use my CBT tools after the shower.
Right.
That's funny. See, yeah. And then I try to keep my exercise routine because that is very important to my mental health. I see you all the time with the gym and stuff. I run. I see turtles passing me now, but I do something that resembles a run.
Sure.
And I bike, and so I try to keep that going. And I stay connected. I mean, my wife, my brothers, Mark, Jeff, and I are very close. They live walking distance to me, which is very cool.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And so I just try to stay with my compassionate community.
Right.
And
let me guess. Mark lives in your back house, right?
I've lived in his back houses a couple times after a few failed marriages.
Right.
But so yeah, I try to maintain that, and that's what I do.
Right.
Because it's tougher, and sitting at home really, and especially if you're already, I suffer from major depressive episodes separate from my recovery.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful from that. I take Lexapro to kind of balance it out.
Right.
But depression and addiction can occur separately. And
well, I think you touched on a few of the key elements as far as when the pandemic was peaking. Was like Zoom meetings. I mean, those are all over the place. And then
I wanted
there's
to piggyback
also
off what Brian was saying. Because not just the Fellowship of AA and NA having these meetings, recoverydharma.org, you can find meetings, smartrecovery.org. You have meetings all over the world. So not only can you find your tribe locally, but you can meet people across the pond or wherever you want to go if you want to stay up that late. Another suggestion I had with what we were doing with SOBAR and teaming up with the Phoenix is we were having outdoor events and practicing social distancing outside, so it cut down a lot of the risk. So if the weather's permitting, meeting in small groups even, and staying connected in the small groups too. So if you have a person in your fellowship, maybe your sponsor, a sponsee, meet in small groups outdoors. And so there's a lot of ways to navigate things during these kind of challenging times with pandemic and Delta 8, that you could still stay connected without totally taking a break from your recovery. Also, as a counselor, I highly recommend getting yourself an online therapist so you can do telehealth and stay connected and doing things like work through your depressive episodes or anxiety, because these are high anxiety times. And you have the ability to meet with a counselor on your phone or on your PC or wherever you're at, basically 24 hours a day.
Right.
My therapist and I do it by Zoom or phone when we can't do Zoom every week.
That's great. Yeah, so I think we answered that question, and I want to thank Dan and his lovely wife for that question. Yeah. Real quick, if you're looking for some help, you can go to summersky.us, and that is 888-857-8857. Once again, that is summersky.us. They are a facility out in Stephenville, Texas, where I got clean and sober. So it's working for me. And then also, if you're looking for that long-term care and you're in the DFW area, Cardinal House Sober Living, cardinalhouserecovery.com. That is cardinalhouserecovery.com. Look them up. They have a good program. The number is 918-998-4223. Once again, 918-998-4223. So that's out of the way. So your book right now is almost bestseller status. Your current, The Ambulance Chaser?
Yeah, well, the way bestsellers status for books work, especially fiction, is it's all it's a lot of it is based on how many pre-orders you have on release day, which is for my book is December, because Amazon counts all of those pre-orders as one-day sales. At the moment, that's how that works. So day one, it's released, and every pre-order is counted that day.
Right.
So then your book goes Zoom, and then if you get enough pre-orders, you can. The dream is obviously New York Times, but there's also the USA Today and the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. So there are all kinds of different bestseller lists, and it's a lot of it is based on the strength of your pre-orders. And retailers look at your pre-orders and say, okay, this book has buzz. And then they determine whether they want to buy your book. And all of a sudden, you're in every Barnes & Noble across the country instead of in your only local one, right? Which happens to most authors. Right. You get in your local one, which is great, but that's not the kind of, or then you're in airports.
Right,
which are overrated because, most people, Amazon has 80% of the market now. But airports are kind of a vanity thing. I'd love to be in an airport. But,
sure.
Where you can go by and pick it up and sign it, right? People do that all the time. And so that's how that works. That's why pre-orders are so important. That's why you see me pushing so hard.
Yeah, no. And I like it, that it's your first foray into fiction, and I want to see you succeed.
Me too, and I'm scared.
Yeah, right. This is kind of putting it out there for you, and see if people take you serious.
I have been painting on a layer of thick skin.
Oh yeah, for the reviews
for a month now, and the layer will be up to here by the time the book releases. People will love it. People will hate it, and
we seem to have pretty good thick skin already,
Yeah. We all have our triggers, right? But you learn, especially with my brother, right? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
If someone has a beef with me, the very first thing, without doubt, is going to be you just live off your brother.
The go-to.
You're just you're kissing your brother's jaw. You're this or that. I get it all the time, right? You let that roll off because the moment you have a beef with someone in social media, that's insult A. That's insult A. That's attempted insult A.
Sure.
So you just have to have a thick skin.
You just get yeah, right. He's my brother.
I don't even come back.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of that, it's kind of funny. Last time I told you that I'm a bit of a domain squatter and that I own themarkcuban.com. Right. So what I did.
How much did you try to sell it to him for?
Oh well, no. No. What I did this week, since you were going to be on the show, I actually have that URL forwarded to the YouTube channel. So if you go to themarkcuban.com right now, it will forward you to our YouTube channel.
Oh,
and you can subscribe, right? And then I'm waiting for my cease and desist and then a potential sponsorship from the Mavericks.
I'm not Mark's lawyer. So
No. But yeah, just fun and games. But I just thought you brought that up.
It would have been much better if you forwarded it to my YouTube channel.
Right. Well, I will put a link to your YouTube channel. You're doing you have almost 1,000 subscribers. I noticed on there.
Yeah, it's taken off a little bit for me. That's big time.
Yeah, sure.
For me,
what's on your YouTube channel? I didn't.
All of my mental health videos, my trailer,
okay.
and it's all my videos about mental health.
Oh, cool. Well, that's cool.
And,
a
lot of my speaking content. You can see me speak in 10, 15 different places.
Right.
I have my full Oxford House keynote up there.
Oh, okay.
I keynoted the Oxford House conference. I want to say it was 4 years ago.
And if nobody knows what Oxford House is, I love and always sing their praises. They're like a sober living situation for men and women, even, women with children, all families, all that kind of stuff. But they are an organization out there that basically it's a house by house where it's self-governing, but it's a sober living situation, and you have some accountability.
Probably some of the most affordable options as well, and it's all over the United States.
Yes,
sure.
Yes.
So I love that. But you were the keynote speaker for that.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, and that full talk is on my YouTube page with a bunch of others.
Sure. Well, I will have to go and watch that. So, but right now they can get your book at Amazon.
Amazon, and if you're just Amazon is the best for me, but if you're anti-Amazon.
If you're anti-Jeff Bezos.
If you're anti-Jeff Bezos, you can go to Barnes & Noble or Simon & Schuster.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm like, will you sign my pre-order on my phone? Like, yeah, it's so weird with the whole digital thing now. I even get it because I produced records as well. So yeah.
Can I give your readers an offer?
Yes, of course.
If you by the end of day tomorrow, the next 15 people who pre-order the ambulance chaser and send me confirmation through Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I'll give you a free signed copy of The Addicted Lawyer.
Awesome.
I like that.
15 people by the end of day tomorrow.
15, and is that through Facebook or
yeah, you
Instagram?
can just send me through Facebook or on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever. And blot out your address, obviously.
Yeah, right. It's not going to magically show up.
Yeah.
But if they go to any of your social media, because I noticed on your Instagram there is a link to actually pre-order.
Yeah,
your
you can
book
pre-order.
as well.
Oh, yeah, you can just put my name in Amazon.
Yeah,
and it's going to come up. But yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter, it's a pinned tweet.
Right.
On Facebook, it's my pinned tweet.
Right.
So I can be found anywhere.
Cool. Wow.
I think I'm even on now. I'm even on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even on TikTok.
Nice. Well, that's where all the kids are going.
Yeah,
these
I don't know
days,
what to
so.
do with it, but I'm on. I have my trailer up there.
My
there
daughter
you go.
was not happy when I got on TikTok. She's like, "You don't need to be on there, Dad."
Dad, you're invading my
Yeah,
world.
you're invading
in
my
my
privacy.
space.
When I come up in my daughter's feed, I just get it so excited.
Dad's infiltrating our cool world.
Yes.
Right. Well, cool. Well, Brian, I can't thank you enough for
done already.
Well, I mean, we can talk more. I mean, I just ran out of things to ask. Oh, actually, I was going to ask you this because I saw on your Instagram as I was stalking you or doing research that you were quite the dancer. So
yeah, that was a while back. But I'm a big into animal rescue. I
Sure.
mean, I love animals, and it was a animal rescue event to raise money. For now, I believe the organization is defunct, but
okay.
It was kind of a Dancing with the Stars type thing.
I was going to ask that. Do you have aspirations?
No, I actually took lessons from Arthur Murray for about 5 months to get ready for that. Swing lessons.
Well, you presented well on the video,
yeah, and
so I appreciate it.
there were celebrity judges, and
Uh-huh.
I just remember Tony Dorsett just dogged me. Celebrity just dogged me. Yeah, I love you, Tony, but you just dogged me on that.
But it was for all for a good cause, so they should,
Yeah, that video's up there.
Right, yeah,
But
it's
we can
out
tell
there.
some more funny stories.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was telling you guys before, we all have the great stories, right? It was right after 9/11. I had gone to Vegas, and it was September 9/11. And then my birthday was in January. I went to Vegas for my birthday, and at that point, Vegas was where I did a lot of my blow. Right?
It's surprising.
And I would stay there. I would go my birthday, and it would just be one blow fest. I had my dealer that I would meet at the airport or wherever at a hotel. So I had been partying all night, and I look at my wife. I said, "Oh man, I need to get my flight." So I'm packing up. I pack up all my stuff, throw it in a gym bag, and I'm sweating, and I hadn't showered, and I'm still messed up. And I get to the airport, and now we have that heightened security.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm waiting to go in, and I think to myself, "Damn, I didn't get rid of the remaining blow. It's somewhere in my bag." And I'm sweating, and the line was a mile long, and I am just sweating bullets. And I get up there, and I'm soaked in sweat. And I'm thinking, okay, I have the guiltiest face ever, right? Have you ever seen Midnight Express?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's me, just sweating.
Right.
Well, just sweating. I go through the detector, and it goes off. And it goes off, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to tell my parents? How am I going to get bailed out?
Right.
And I'm this close to saying, I did it. I'm guilty. I'm so guilty. I'm so sorry. I'm a bad liar.
Right.
It was my shoes set him off.
So they just said, take your shoes off.
Take your shoes
and
off.
run 'em through.
Well, I have big feet, and big
Right.
feet sometimes set off the metal detectors. This was before they were making you take your shoes off.
Right.
So big feet set up. That was Big Feet set off the medical detector, and all they did was they scanned my shoes and let me go. But I was this close to go like this. I said, "Take me, I'm guilty."
If you're over
guilty.
if you're over a size 12, we think it might be a potential firearm.
Yeah, so this was before the shoe bomb or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah.
So that was funny.
Oh man, I've been there. Yeah. It's
So but then you
just take me
well,
in.
real quick. So you made it through, but was it on your person?
It was in a pair of pants that was in my gym bag.
Oh, okay. So at least
And
it
so I
wasn't
went-
on your person.
well, of course-
You go, those are my friend's pants.
Well, of course I wasn't going to. I went just to confirm it, and of course I wasn't going to throw that away because
Right.
I mean I was. I was addicted to cocaine, so I went in the McCarran Airport bathroom, and I had a nice plane flight home.
after sweating bullets and all that goes, it's just so crazy to see how heavy that addiction is.
I went
Just
from
like,
thinking I was going to jail to snorting in the airport bathroom.
man.
Success.
Yeah, right.
But those are bad cocaine bathrooms. You know how to evaluate cocaine bathrooms, right?
Oh no,
There are
let's hear
bad
this.
cocaine bathrooms and there are good cocaine bathrooms. The bad cocaine bathrooms are where they have the stalls with the holes, right?
Oh yeah,
Especially
where
in
they can peek
Vegas.
through. Yeah,
Especially in Vegas because they have undercover cops that roam the bathrooms,
Sure.
peeking through the holes and stuff, and they know what to look for. The good cocaine bathrooms are the ones in sporting arenas on the premium levels
Yeah.
that shut like little rooms.
Right.
And so you go in those rooms. Yeah. So that's good cocaine bathrooms and bad cocaine bathrooms.
I would imagine Buc-ee's actually. Shout out to Buc-ee's. They have very good cocaine bathrooms. If I was doing that.
Yes, if I was doing that again. But that is how my first instinct, and even today, you have residuals, right? You have dreams, drug dreams, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I might walk into a bathroom, and the first thought of this is a bad cocaine bathroom.
Right. So you actually, because I still have alcohol dreams all the time.
Oh, sure.
Like here and there. I mean,
Oh,
not as frequent.
They come. They don't come as regular as they used to, but I have
Right.
recurring dreams about lining out cocaine, but being unable to snort it.
Right.
Right, and either I can't get it through the nose, the straw doesn't work, and being unable to snort it.
Right.
I have them, and this actually comes up a lot in SOBAR. People have these dreams, and it's okay to have them. It doesn't mean that you're on the verge of relapse. It doesn't mean that you're even tempted. Your brain does some wild stuff sometimes. So where I used to wake up and I'd be shameful about it. I'd feel guilty. I'd feel scared. And now, having processed through it and kind of come to terms with these dreams, I just look at it as a freebie,
Right.
So I think the important thing is, not so much to dissect the dream and try to figure
so
out what's
are you
going on.
actually when you have those dreams, are you actually using in your dreams?
Oh yeah.
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 'Cause I'm kind of like Brian, like where I would get to the point and then I can't.
Well,
do it.
I wake up and I'm like, can I have one where it actually goes up the straw? It's the closest I'll ever get, right? It's the closest I'll ever get to it again.
Right.
No, I have.
one.
I've been, and it's really. I feel the euphoria in my dream, and so what my suggestion is just tell people, don't get caught up in the guilt and shame. You have no control of what this mind of yours decides to do when you're asleep.
Sure. And as far as you're concerned, it's real at the time, right?
It's real at the
Yeah, I
time.
mean, the mind does funny things to compensate for things that go on during the day, and it's rarely. I mean, the dreams are rarely representational.
Yeah, it's like if you have a dream about a girl and who's not your wife or girlfriend. I mean, you didn't have anything to do with that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dusty, that does not happen. That does not happen, Dusty. Come on.
We don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
Mr. Single Guy. But yeah, man. So I guess it is about that time, and I appreciate you. I know you had a little trouble navigating your way out here with the U-turns.
I kept doing U-turns. It was like European vacation. There's Big Ben. There's Big Ben.
Yeah, we're up here in the North Pole.
Yeah,
Well, it's
exactly.
driving around in a little circle. Big Ben, kids.
That's
I
funny.
remember that.
But for sure, jump on Amazon, buy this man's book, help it become a
Help
bestseller.
me become a bestseller. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want to take advantage, you'll get the free signed copy of The Addicted Lawyer. I'll send it to you at my expense.
Okay, dude. I mean, you cannot refuse that. That's
no.
a 2-for-1 plus a signed copy, personal copy from this man. So
Yeah.
I love it. So and you're on all the formats. So I have a feeling you'll be inundated a little bit on your inbox as far as request.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and
showing.
if you just want to BS, talk recovery, I'm
Yeah.
easy to find.
You know what was funny, and that's what you kind of get put on a pedestal, you know, because of the fact, you know, of fame adjacent.
Because I'm Mark Cuban's brother, yes.
Yeah.
I get
but
that.
No. But then, you know, but I mean, you're just a really relatable guy, and I appreciate that. And I wanted to point it out that everybody's like, oh, well, you have him on the show, and I'm like,
that's funny.
Yeah, he's
That's
like, no, but I'm like, he's a normal guy.
I got one more story.
Yeah,
well,
let's hear it.
I'm speaking in Canada. Yes, I'm an international speaker.
Yeah.
I was speaking in Canada, and there's this guy who he was just kind of a jerk, and I can tell there was a chip. And so he's in the back of the room, and I was taking Q&A after I spoke. And he said, "What's it like being in the shadow of Mark Cuban?" And he was doing it as a dig, right?
Right.
And all I said was, "It doesn't suck."
Absolutely.
There you go, right?
Yeah, just to back up on that, I go to different recovery events all the time, and Brian's there just hanging out with the people all the time. And,
he's a real person.
Real dude. Yeah. And it's been such a pleasure, actually, getting to know you and being connected with you over the years to see your growth, too.
And we all
as an advocate, as a coach, as an author, it's pretty cool to watch.
Well, thank you, and I still have a lot of growing to do.
Yeah, don't we all?
According to my wife.
Well,
I love you, Amanda.
There we go. I was going to say, anybody shout outs? I know you probably have some announcements. You have a paintball event coming up for Sobar Basics.
No, that got canceled. But we do. We're heading to Houston today to the Big Texas Rally for Recovery.
Yeah. Okay.
My team from Texoma Community Center is already on their way. Mr. Dan and Carla and some of the rest of the team and some of our clients will be setting up a booth out there for Texoma Community Center, is where I currently work. And so we serve Grayson, Fannin, and Cook counties. So if you live in those counties, you want some help, hit me up at dburrows@texomacc.org.
And it's free help, right?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Or texomacc.org. And if you live outside of those counties and you need help, reach out to me anyway. I'll get you a referral. I will find you somewhere to go, just because that's what we do out there. We're not going to turn you away. We're going to help you find what you need. And then if you don't know about Sobar, sobarbasics.com. It's a Facebook group and a sober community that we do events. It's kind of a catch-all for other communities as well to promote. So if you find yourself with some monotony in recovery, jump onto Sobar. You're going to find stuff to do every single day, whether it's through Phoenix or Skate Straight or any of the other numerous recovery communities like Knucklehead. We got a lot going on. DFW is a flourishing recovery community right now. I was going to
say recovery in DFW is alive and well.
Yeah, speaking of passions, mine is creating and promoting sober communities.
I thought it was
recovery communities.
I thought your passion was just taking pictures of yourself at the gym.
That too. I'm feeling pretty good about myself these days. It's funny,
well, you're quite the beefcake, buddy.
On the body dysmorphia thing. I was in a handful of guys. We're talking about our bodies. We're after the gym, and we opened up the conversation, and it's largely to do with conversations about body dysmorphia in men, which I first heard in your talk back at UNT, and we were talking about that. No matter how hard you work, there might be parts of you that you fixate on where everybody else just think it's all about vanity, and maybe part of it is, but you can become obsessed and really become down on yourself about maybe a lack of progress or a particular part of your body. And it happens a lot with men. And
Do you have that currently going on?
I have a funny nipple,
Well, we joke about that.
Yeah, sure.
I actually end up addicted to anabolic steroids back in the early 2000s. I almost lost my leg from using a dirty needle.
Wow.
And so body dysmorphic disorder has a high correlation to steroid, for a lack of a better term, abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm glad we got to touch on that because that's a real thing out there. So just because these men and these women are hitting the gym and looking great every day doesn't mean they're not experiencing some mental health challenges because as it doesn't discriminate. Just like addiction, mental health doesn't discriminate. And the fact that we're realizing now and treating them together, because not anybody that comes into my office just has an addiction. Almost every single person, if they're honest, has a co-occurring disorder. And so to not treat both of them, the other one's going to sneak up on you.
Well, I mean, like his was body dysmorphia. I had crippling anxiety, and he was talking about depression and anxiety as well. So I mean, I think a lot of it is co-occurring and past trauma and all of that good stuff. And it's a challenge for people because they know how to self-medicate. you know, but it's a challenge.
But they don't know how to be
get it.
vulnerable in a safe space.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the point of creating some of these safe spaces. So, and stop putting each other in a box. So I'm in the alcohol box. I'm in the meth box. I'm in the crack box. We're all in the same box. We're all experiencing stuff emotionally, mentally, and those of us with substance use disorder, we're experiencing all of it. So it's important that we just support each other out there. You know, we're all part of one big community.
Absolutely.
I agree. So once again, if you like the show, please go to the YouTube channel. I will be putting unique content on there, and if you just go to the domain thispinkcloud.com or themarkcuban.com, you can subscribe to the show today. But I can't thank you enough for making the time and making the
Thank you,
journey
Brian.
out here.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
man.
and long distance fist bump. Yeah. Please buy this man's book on Amazon and help him become a bestseller and realize his dream of becoming a successful fictional author. I think actually you already are successful if you actually did it and got it published.
If you don't want my book, just say hello.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's like that. He's cool like that. So anyway, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. Next week we've got Richard Bradshaw with
he's great.
with Brazos Recovery, and he's going to be talking about Narcan, clean needle exchange, and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
So Brett, if you would play us out, Maestro. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming out and listening. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Drop a bomb now.